she said what it was, but I
Some poem that Grandpa had written about a cat?
no, it was something that he had memorized about one. He had read it and memorized. And she said, and Daddy said to me, said, I think she's got me mixed up with somebody else, because I wasn't so smart.
You know what I wanted to ask you, Grandpa? I want you to tell me how you make one of those clocks.
How I make them?
Yeah. Like how you get the wood and what you do to it to make a clock.
Well, I look for a burrow wood.
Mm-hmm.
That's, you know what that is. That's a growth that makes around. It's like that and up there. That was the
big stump.
Well, it was only the burrow part was about that high, and then just had one little stem coming up a ways that I would dig it out, cut the root off, bring it home, and then I'd saw it.
Sand it out.
Well, I'd have to saw it up in slabs, cross it. Then I had a router machine that would a plane, actually what was a plane,
make it smooth.
Smooth it off. But I fixed up the place so that it would stick up just so high, and then put a couple of cross pieces across it, 2x4 and cross pieces across it, just leave a narrow gap in between, which I'd put the bit in the router and bring it across there and level it off on one side, then turn it over and level it off on the other side, and kept filling up underneath it so that it would wind up the right depth.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would sand it. I had a sanding machine that sand it smooth.
And then what about those little numbers? When would you put those in?
I had drill a little hole in where I wanted the clock hands to be,
Mm-hmm.
and turn it over and cut it out the size of the clock.
Mm-hmm.
And then I learned to had the epoxy stuff, mix up a little batch and lightly cover the bottom.
With the clear coat?
Yeah, with just I'd make it kind of thin with a brush, just coat it. Then I'd have to put beeswax on that, so that when I turn it over, and I'd fill up that hole in the middle with some kind of a stem, so that have a hole in it. And then I'd mix up the big batch of the epoxy and pour all over it. And I'd have to brush the sides, make sure it filled in all the sides, and then out of the bottom was wax. Anything that dripped over you could come off easy.
Mm-hmm.
First ones I didn't do that, so that's how I learned. And then
Is that when you put the numbers on?
Hmm?
Is that then next you put the numbers on?
Oh, I put the numbers on before I poured that
Uh-huh. The epoxy.
epoxy over them.
The first ones he made, he sweated. He sweated blood because when he put that epoxy on, it had it sometimes bubbles, you know.
Mhm.
And trying to
Get it smooth.
Get
Yeah.
it smooth. It was interesting. Watch him. He used a flame torch there sometimes to. Didn't you? You tried that? I don't know. To get those bubbles out.
Yeah. Well, I tried a little bit of epoxy there to something to glue the numbers in place, and then pour over it and make sure that you filled all the cracks and holes and everything.
Mhm.
And that was it.
That's the clock.
And I found out that if you blowed warm air on it, that got rid of them bubbly things. So I used a hairdryer to blow it as it was cooling,
Mhm.
and that'd
Dry smooth.
bust them bubbles and make it smooth. And that was it.
The last 3